This is the fourth in a series on automating logic model outcomes with service delivery records, and in this part number 4 we're going to talk about yet another alternative method of creating automatic additions of outcomes and benchmarks with certain kinds of service delivery records. We'll use the example that we used in the previous video clip just for convenience sake, and the rationale or the goal of this particular method of automation is to take three fields basically, the service delivery category field, this one, service delivery subcategory field, combined with, of course, the associated program, which we know now that we have to have in order to create logic model and outcome records of any kind. And then that in combination, those three fields in combination with a result field again, that will then provide us with a certain set of, a certain predefined set of both logic model and benchmark / outcome records. Now, since this is the example that we used in the previous video clips, we know that we already have a logic model and an associated benchmark associated with this particular service delivery record by virtue of having the logic model goal entered here, and the fact that when it was saved then that added that goal, that particular logic model and outcome combination to the outcomes page. So when we come over to this page, we see the affordable housing logic model and the low-income participants and so forth as the benchmark. But let's suppose that whenever someone enters a new service delivery record in it and they give it this category, housing utilities, this subcategory, assistance with arranging needed home repair, this particular associated program, and a result code that indicates that the service actually happened, that we actually want to add more than just this one logic model and the one benchmark or outcome. So in order to set that up initially, we need to create a record where those whatever additional logic model benchmark outcome records we want are in here, and so we have to add those manually. So again, just using this was an example, we'll click the green plus in here, and you note that we've got another logic model that's associated with this particular program, this housing counseling program, in addition to the one that's already here, the affordable housing. So let's choose that one. That gives us another logic model record which has no associated benchmarks or outcomes yet. If you click back to affordable housing, you see that we still have the benchmark that's linked to it. So click back on this one, then click the plus button again to choose benchmarks, and we'll see if we have any. We do. And yet again to choose an outcome, and we'll put that in here as well. And you note that the dates all default to today's date. Those dates are editable, and you can change them to anything that you like. So we're going to save this now, and we now have, under homeless prevention as a logic model, we have both a benchmark and an outcome. And when we click on the affordable housing logic model, we have an outcome associated with that as well. Now, in order to set those up as the default or automatically added records for a new service delivery record that has those fields on the details page filled in the same manner, we use the automatic button, and we can right click it, which will give us a form that allows us to edit previously entered combinations like this. But in this case, we just want to set these for this particular set of field values on that first page. So I'm going to go click on automatic, and it gives me this little dialog that shows me what I've got. So in the category on the service details page, we had housing and utilities. In the subcategory, we had assistance with arranging needed home repair, and the associated program is listed down here. We can click the home button to get it back to the right, and we see that it's housing counseling for October of 2013. Now, the only thing that we have to add here is which result codes, once again, in a manner very similar to what we did with the automating the logic model goal addition, we have to specify which result codes we want to use to consider this to be a completed operation. So we'll use the standard ones that we've used in the past: service completed, service partially completed, and I believe the other one was service ongoing. So we've got all three of those checked here, and at this point we can just say OK and save those options. Now, when we get ready to add a new record, we can come back over to this page, and we'll just add a new record manually. So we're going to click the green plus button, choose plain vanilla service delivery, let's pick somebody new as the client who this will be attached to, Chuck Pham. So we get a new record for Chuck Pham. We know that we want an associated program of housing counseling, and we want a category of housing utilities, and the subcategory is assistance with arranging needed home repair, this one. And then we'll have to put in, the only additional piece we need now at this point is to put in a result code that indicates that, yeah, we actually did this. So we're going to we'll just choose service completed. And we click save. And it again prompts us if we want to create the enrollment record for the housing counseling. We'll say OK there. And this is another pop-up that indicates that the client that I selected has a status that's not active, and since we're adding a record for them, they presume that we probably want to make them active, which we will. That's irrelevant to the process that we're discussing here. So now we can come over to outcomes, and we see that the records have in fact been automatically added. So for the affordable housing logic model, we have the same low-income participants obtain safe and affordable housing as an outcome. And if we choose the homeless prevention, we see both the benchmark and the outcome for that particular logic model have been added. So for this particular service delivery record, we now have quantity 3 that will show up in the various sections, 3 total that will show up in the various sections of the DCA Roma CSBG quarterly report. You've got one benchmark here, and an outcome here, all of which showing a quantity of 1, so a total of 3. And that got done automatically. Your data entry people had to do nothing more than adding the service delivery record and choosing the appropriate category, subcategory, and associated program. Now there's one more nice benefit from this, and that is that it's applicable to service delivery checklist items as well. So if we choose to add a new record using the checklist function, which was discussed in the previous video clip, we click plus, choose checklist. Once again, let's choose a different client so that we can identify the record more easily as being something new. Here's a Philip Dombrowski. It'll do. Say OK. And then from the checklist, we want the Annie's House checklist that we used as an example in the last video clip. We can change the date if it's appropriate here. We say OK. And it adds a new record now for Philip Dombrowski with all of these items already filled in automatically because they were part of the field values specified for that checklist. We can save that, and once again, when we come over to the outcomes page, we find that we have all 3, both the 2 logic models and the 3 associated benchmarks and outcomes that go with that. So your data entry people, in this case, all they've had to do is basically add 2 clicks or 3 clicks, pick a client, pick a service delivery checklist, and click the save button, and the outcomes have been entered for them automatically.